Hi, everybody. Uh, we're going to be all over the place this morning. Fortunately, for watching this on a video, you can pause it and look up the verses and chapters and books and everything. You notice I did that in reverse order. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this, God gave me this about 3 weeks ago, but I've been waiting for Him to tell me that it's time to do it. Well, last night He told me it's time to do it. There's been a lot of people who have lost loved ones here recently, and I guess that's why He was wanting me to wait. I've had lots and lots of pastors, televangelists, you name it, saying that they have the panacea, the golden bullet, the be all, is all, whatever, however you want to phrase it, answer to why some people's prayers do not get the answer that they're looking for or that they want. There's a lot of reasons why. Of course, there are some things you can do to help out. First of all, you have to have faith, and you have to have persistence. Jesus talks about the person that's wanting bread and knocks and knocks and knocks. Finally, He says, okay. Well, God does do those things. He will allow you to keep asking for the answer. Unfortunately, that doesn't always work either. But here I'm going to bring up some things here, and then I'm going to bring up some things about why we don't always get the answer we want. First thing we're going to go to is Mark chapter 5, verses 38 through 42. This is about where it says, He cometh to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and sees the tumult and them that wept and wailed greatly. And when He was come in, He said unto them, Why make you this ado and weep? The damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed Him to scorn. But when He had put them all out, He taketh the father and mother of the damsel, and them that were with Him, and entered in where the damsel was lying. And He took the damsel by the hand, and said unto her, Talitha cumi, which is, being interpreted, Damsel, I say unto thee, arise. And straightway the damsel arose and walked, for she was the age of 12 years. And they were astonished with a great astonishment. When you think somebody's dead and Jesus brings them back, I'd be astonished too. Okay, here's another one. This one's a little more astonishing. This is from John chapter 11, verses 4 and beyond. When Jesus heard that, He said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When He had heard that, therefore, that he was sick, talking about Lazarus, He abode 2 days still in the same place where He was. Then after that saith He to His disciples, Let us go into Judea again. His disciples say unto Him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone Thee, and goest Thou thither again? Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. That light He's talking about is Himself. These things said He, and after that He saith unto them, Our friend Lazarus sleepeth. Just like He said the damsel, the little girl, sleepeth. But I go that I may awake him out of sleep. Then said His disciples, Lord, if he sleep, he shall do well. They're talking about from our standpoint. If you're sleeping and resting, it means it's going to help you recover, right? Okay. Howbeit Jesus spake of his death, but they thought that he had spoken of taking of rest and sleep. Then said Jesus unto them plainly, because they didn't get it, Lazarus is dead. And I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, to the intent you may believe. Nevertheless, let us go unto him. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples, let us also go, that we may die with him. Now this is the one known later as Doubting Thomas. Then when Jesus came, he found that he had lain in the grave 4 days already. Now Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs off, and many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Mary sat still in the house. This is a fairly famous passage in the Bible, where Martha said unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. She wasn't saying this in faith, I promise. She was saying, why didn't you come when we called you? Because you could have kept him from dying. Y'all know that, right? Okay. But I know this is faith, that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee. Jesus saith unto her, Thy brother shall rise again. Martha saith unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. She still didn't quite understand. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? She saith unto him, Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. And when she had so said, she went her way, and called Mary her sister secretly, saying, The Master is come, and calleth for thee. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came unto him. Now Jesus was not yet come into the town, but was in that place where Martha met him. The Jews then, which were with her in the house, and comforted her when they saw Mary, that she rose up hastily and went out, followed her, saying, She goeth unto the grave to weep there. Then when Mary was come where Jesus was, and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. Does that sound familiar? When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping which came with her, he groaned in the spirit, and was troubled, and said, Where have ye laid him? They said unto him, Lord, come and see. This is the shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus wept. Then said the Jews, Behold how he loved him. And some of them said, Could not this man which opened the eyes of the blind have caused that even this man should not have died? Jesus therefore again, groaning in himself, cometh to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Jesus said, Take you away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he hath been dead 4 days. Jesus saith unto her, Said I not unto thee, that if thou wouldst believe, thou shouldst see the glory of God? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. And I knew that thou hearest me always, but because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. And when he had thus spoken, he cried with a loud voice. That's pretty important, a loud voice. He was making a statement to these people. He was telling them that what he was saying is true, but he wanted to make sure that they grasped this concept, the fact that he was the Christ, and he was the Son of God. And he wanted to make sure they heard him. He could have whispered, thought it to himself, whatever, to Lazarus. That didn't matter. But he was saying this for the crowd. He wasn't trying to glorify himself, look all wonderful and stuff. He just wanted them to know. He could have said, Lazarus, come forth. But it says with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. Everybody out there heard him. Now, the reason it was important for them to hear him, this isn't a fluke. This isn't anything else. But see, it also is kind of like he is awakening him. When you go into your children's bedroom when it's time to go to school, do you go in there and go, hey, get up, get up? You go in there and you say, all right, get up, it's time for school. And if they don't get up, then what do? You cry with a loud voice, get up, right? Okay. And when he had thus spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus saith unto them, loose him and let him go. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Jesus did, believed on him. He got their attention. It worked. All right. Now then, we're going to go.
And why did he say only Lazarus?
Well, he said, he called out Lazarus' name, otherwise they all would have showed up. So, you see here, he has done some miraculous things. He brought 2 people back from the dead. He didn't keep them from dying. He brought them back from the dead. Now then, the reason I say that some people think they've got the magic bullet, the cure-all, whatever, most of them will say something like, well, you got to have faith, you got to believe, and all this, and then obviously, but that, like I was saying a while ago, that doesn't always work. Now in 2 Kings 13, verses 14, 20, and 21, we're going to read about a man who had a lot of faith, performed not of himself, but with God, a lot of miracles. And he was a man of God. He could see things that nobody else could see. It tells about in one place where he prayed that God would open his assistant's eyes so he could see that the angels were around them. I'd say he's a pretty strong man of God, wouldn't you? But here in verse 14, now Elisha, that was a man's name, was fallen sick of his sickness whereof he died. Why didn't his prayers work? Why didn't he keep living? And Joash, the king of Israel, came down unto him and wept over his face, and said, O my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. He was helping Israel. That's why he said these things. But in verse 20, and Elisha died, and they buried him. And the bands of the Moabites invaded the land at the coming in of the year. And it came to pass, as they were burying a man, that behold, they spied a band of men, and they cast the man, the dead man, into the sepulchre of Elisha. And when the man was let down and touched the bones of Elisha, he revived and stood up on his feet. Now, I would say that's a pretty strong man of God, wouldn't you? That even when he touched his bones, he came back to life. But there are so many things that we as humans don't understand. There's a couple more passages here. Sorry this is taking so long, but it needs to be told. This is from, I've got to find my bookmark. My Bible fell a while ago and everything got all messed up. Okay, this is from Job chapter 38. I'm just going to read verses 1 through 4. You need to read the whole chapter to really get what he's talking about here. But really, verses 1 through 4 will work for this. When we get to thinking that we've got the answer to everything, here's a couple of reasons to let us know that we don't have the answer to everything. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Here's the thing that the rest of this all hinges on. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Do you think you know it all? Tell me. We don't know it all. We know some things, but we don't know everything. Now then, to finish this off, I'm going to go to Isaiah. And this is Isaiah 55, verses 8 and 9. This is God talking through the man that wrote this book. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Final answer is, God's in charge. And he knows what's best for us. And he don't know just what's best for us today. He knows what's best for us the rest of our lives. Even if our life has to end today, there's a good reason for it. It may not be that you wanted them to go, but God knew they needed to. It could be for a lot of reasons. One, if they keep living, they'll do something that will cause them great grief later. We all need to understand that God knows what's best for all of us every day. I love y'all, and I want y'all to read the rest of Job and all of these passages so you can get real good understanding of them. But I want you to mainly read your Bible and pray for understanding before you start reading. It will help you a lot. I love y'all. I'll see you next time.